Hello, English 3, and welcome back to a new unit. So today we are going to be starting our argumentative writing unit. Everything you need for this unit will be in Google Classroom under Passion Project. And the reason we're calling it a passion project is because I want you to write about something that you're passionate about. So this won't be an argumentative essay where you have like one topic you have to choose from. You obviously will have the same purpose and the same requirements across the board, but you will not need to all write about the same topic. The topic's going to be very open choice for you, so I would recommend choosing something that definitely interests you and that you care about, which we'll do some practicing on kind of thinking about that and reflecting on that today. Firstly, though, in Google Classroom, which is on the post that you found this recording, you're going to see this diagram. It's called How to Write an Essay. And so, as you can see, it's kind of a flow chart, if you will, of how we get to a finished product of an essay, which is the goal of this entire unit. I know some of you probably do not like writing essays and probably think that they're just something that you do for school and they don't really matter, so on and so forth. Some conventions of essays, like MLA format, for example, you probably won't use outside of academics. But I do want to encourage you that the reason that we write essays is very important. And for this unit in particular, the reason that we're writing is that I want you to learn how to argue for something and how to back up something and research something that you care about. So it's really easy to obviously have opinions on things. All of us probably have topics that we argue with people in our lives about that we're really passionate about. But it's really important to be able to go back and research that, to find credible evidence to show why you support something in the way that you do. And also it's really important to kind of hone that craft of persuasion, of talking about why things are important to you. And really a lot of this unit is going to focus on giving you a voice as a student. So that's what we're focusing on, not necessarily just essays, but how you have a voice and how we can kind of refine that voice to help you succeed and be successful. Okay, so I'm going to walk you through this flowchart and kind of what it means and how we're going to be tackling these different things in our unit. So obviously the end goal is an essay. And so this applies for all essays, not just the one that we're writing together for this class. And so the first thing you have to do when you're writing an essay is figure out your objective. So, and that's broken down into two categories. We have audience and we have purpose. So, purpose. There's three main purposes to any piece of writing out there, and that's either to entertain, persuade, or inform. So, for example, if you're writing a poem, you're probably writing to entertain. If you're writing an argumentative essay or a speech, you're probably writing to persuade. If you're writing maybe an informative essay or an article or something else along those lines, you're probably writing to inform. So those are our three main purposes for writing. And so for this unit, we'll be focusing on this one right here, which is to persuade. So we want to write in a way that convinces someone to kind of join our side. Then the second thing you need to find is your audience. So when you get into more specific purposes, so entertain, persuade, inform, your audience might change. For example, if you're writing a poem, you might write a poem about students. And so then your audience would be other students because they would understand kind of that perspective. Or for example, if you're writing to inform, maybe you're writing to inform a mechanic how to do something specific with a car. And so then your audience would be mechanics. However, when we write to persuade, sometimes we may have a really specific audience. But when you're writing for class, especially in high school, our audience tends to be more of a general audience, meaning that we kind of expect that our audience it won't have the background knowledge on the topic that maybe we have. And so what I always suggest for students is to think of your classmates as your audience. When you write, think as if you are explaining it to them in a way that they could understand, even if it's a topic maybe you are more familiar with than they are. A common misconception is to think of your audience as your teacher, since I will be reading your essays. But what you're going to want to do is not do that, because that's just one specific person. And we're writing for a bit of a grander purpose than just for you writing for me. So think of your audience as your classmates. That's my suggestion. So after we figure out our purpose and our audience, the next step is to figure out our thesis. Now, some people might be thinking, wait, I don't know what I want to write about. Shouldn't I do this step and this step and this step before I get to my thesis? But your thesis isn't just a fancy sentence in your essay. It is the whole point of your argument. It's why you're arguing what you're arguing, and what exactly you're arguing for. So we want to have our thesis ready to go before we do any of these other steps, because this is what should drive the paper. Everything that you do should point back to your thesis statement, that main argument or that main point. So we want to figure out a thesis first, and we'll actually be working on writing our thesis statements tomorrow when you choose your topics. So thesis statement is going to come first because it drives everything else. Then we go on to pre-writing. And so pre-writing is kind of, everything kind of falls under that category of like brainstorming or kind of thinking about what you're going to write about. Some of you may do this consciously when you write, but some of you might just, maybe you just think about something for a while. Like for me, sometimes when I'm driving, I daydream a little bit, and I might be thinking about something that I'm going to write about later and kind of chewing on it. And that is a way of pre-writing in a sense, because you think about things before you actually do them. And so this can be broken down into more than just as down here, but this can include free writing, which we've done a lot of in our last unit. And it can include just general brainstorming. It can include mapping, outlining, journaling, or even just talking with someone. And so we will also practice a few of these in class to get you started on your essay. Then after we've done all of that, so we have our thesis, we've kind of thought about our topic and brainstormed a bit, then we're going to research. And so I think another common misconception is that research is the thing that is your paper. But really, research should only be used to back up what you're already saying. So you should have a main point that you've already kind of thought about in this stage that you're going to back up here with research. Now, yes, some of your opinions may change as you research, and you might kind of adjust your thesis as you go, and that's totally okay. That's a part of this writing process. But you want to remember that you're not just regurgitating what other people have said. You want to use research to support your point, not make your point for you. And then after we've done our research, then we start composing our draft. And remember, all essays are broken down into these three parts, which is your introduction, your body, and your conclusion. Some people, it's really helpful for them to write their body first and then their introduction and conclusion. So if that helps you, feel free to do that. Write your body first and then the introduction and conclusion. Some people need to do it linearly, so they start with introduction, body, and then conclusion. I am one of those people, so I totally understand if that's you, but it does help some people to skip those other two and just do this and then go back and do intro and conclusion. So your introduction, right here just says your thesis and your hook, but I'm actually going to expand on this a little bit from this chart. I always say that there's three main purposes to your introduction. The first one is to have a hook, so something that will grab your reader's attention. If you don't know what to do for that, just think of what is the most interesting thing about your topic to you. Maybe that's a personal testimony. Maybe that's a statistic. Maybe that's a misconception people have about something. So whatever you find interesting will probably be interesting to other people too. Then you want to, and this is the one that isn't on here, but you will want to explain what you're going to talk about. So kind of quick summary, introduce your topic, what is it exactly that you're going to be covering. And then the last sentence in your introduction should be your thesis statement. Then we go into our body. Remember, you want to do well-organized body paragraphs. You should have a topic sentence for each body paragraph, and we'll actually talk about a structure to incorporate research. That's really helpful a little bit later on. Then your conclusion. Same thing. I actually say that there's three functions of a conclusion. One of those is that you want to summarize what you already talked about. Then you want to restate your thesis. Now, you do not want to restate it, like copy and paste it, same exact words. So you want to rewrite it, kind of what is the general essence of what you want to prove in your paper. And then you should have a concluding thought, or almost some people call it a reflection. So what is that thing that, if you could choose one thing that your reader takes away from your essay, what would it be? And that's how your conclusion should end, with kind of that final thought or reflection on the topic as a whole. Then we get into the two things that many students don't want to do, which is to revise and edit. Now, a lot of people use these terms interchangeably, but they're actually two different things. So revision is talking about a HOC. If you've never heard this before, it stands for higher order concern, meaning that these are the big things that drive an essay. If you don't have these and they aren't done well, your essay as a whole won't be great. They're things that need to be addressed and need to be major reworkings of that first draft. So when you revise, you're looking at big picture things, such as paragraphs, organization, development, focus. So think of HOCs as how you are developing and relating your ideas, how you're organizing your ideas in a logical manner, how they're broken into paragraphs in a logical manner. In the revising stage, you may move entire paragraphs around. You may rewrite entire paragraphs. You might add multiple more sentences on as you develop and focus your paper more. So HOCs, or higher order concerns, are those big ideas. And then editing is for lower order concerns, or some people also call them later order concerns. And so these are the little things that aren't going to make or break your paper, and you should kind of do them at the very end to kind of go over and refine things. And so these are grammar, punctuation, formatting, so think MLA, spelling, and word choice. Now, all of these things are important, and for example, if you're a really bad speller and you're misspelling every word, that might become a HOC for you, because if things are misspelled so badly someone can't read it, then that's going to affect your entire essay. Same thing with honestly all of these. For example, if you aren't formatting at all, so you don't have any citations, that would be a big problem, because we need to cite our sources, obviously. But a lot of people tend to focus on these rather than these. So they have a paper that's technically correct, but it doesn't have any development or focus. So it doesn't really say or mean anything. It just happens to not have any punctuation errors. So you want to focus on these things later as you go through sentence by sentence and make those little revisions. Because at this stage, you should already have your ideas together and well formed. And then you just need to read through and make sure that those fine details are okay. And then after you do that, you should have a finished essay. And so that's kind of the basic breakdown of how this writing process will go for us. We will be working on this throughout the next 3 weeks. Like I said, we're going to start with a little bit of just free writing today, and then we'll write our thesis, do some pre-writing, research, draft, revise, edit. So for today, the only thing you need to do is there is a post in Google Classroom under Passion Project that says Free Write Passions. And on there, what you're going to do is there's 3 questions, and I want you to free write for 3 minutes over each question, kind of similar to how we wrapped up at the end of last week with American literature. And I want you to kind of start to flesh out what is important to you, what do you find interesting, and so maybe a way to kind of jumpstart some topics for you. And as a reminder for those free writes, when there's more than one question, you're going to want to kind of do the free write per each question. So roughly shoot for a paragraph per question. Does not have to be pretty, does not have to have good grammar necessarily. I just want you to get those ideas out on paper and start to think about things that you find important or interesting that you could write about. Okay, and that is all for today. I will talk to you again tomorrow.